We're going to talk a little hoops, but first,
before we get to hoops, guys, there's nothing like the energy of an MLS match, the chants, the atmosphere, the last-minute goals. And if you want to experience it all live, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLS tickets, plus ticket prices actually drop as kickoff gets closer. So you can score amazing seats at a great price. I just checked the Game Time app, and you can get that Inter Miami Crew game for $73 a piece over at the Huntington Bank Field. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
That's a pretty good price on that, actually.
It is not a bad deal. The Cavs play tonight. Or at least the skeleton of the Cavs are playing tonight. No Don, no Evan, no Darius, and no Max Strus. So the Cavs
Jared Allen is.
Jared Allen is playing. His
82.
quest to 82 is legit, but it's a game that means nothing to Cleveland. They are resting guys, preparing for the playoffs. So we're going to talk something else in the Cavaliers realm today, and that is the race for the DPOY. Jason and I touched on it a little bit on the Ultimate Cavs show tomorrow. We're going to dive into some even more numbers that we didn't have yesterday. But first, before we do that, we got to hear Evan Mobley, who went on the Hoop Collective podcast campaigning for himself as to why he should be the DPOY. Now, before we play that clip, it's important to remember that when Victor Wembanyama got hurt, he was the prohibitive favorite to win the DPOY. Then he was announced he missed the rest of the season, and Evan Mobley and Jaren Jackson Jr. became the favorites. About a month ago, guys, Draymond Green went on his own podcast and said basically, on the DPOY, here's why vote for me. And now he is the heavy favorite in Vegas to become the DPOY. We disagree with the numbers, but Draymond went on and campaigned for himself. So this was Evan Mobley's retort and I guess his response to the Draymond Green campaign. He went on the Hoop Collective with Wendy. This is a minute clip from that podcast.
I'm Defensive Player of the Year. Whereas there's other guys out there going, I'm Defensive Player of the Year. But obviously your body of work speaks for itself. It's kind of awkward to say vote for me, but that's kind of where we're at now. Your team is 60 something wins and you've been great. Is it a little bit strange to say, hey, please respect my game?
Yeah, it definitely is. I like to let my job on the court really talk. I'm not really too much of a talkative guy, but I think I definitely deserve this award just based on what we've been talking about this whole entire interview. And my defensive prowess, I feel like it's top tier from what I put out this whole season. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I really can't wait for the playoffs to up it even more.
So say what you want about Draymond Green. Very good defensive player. Maybe an elite podcaster, a much better self-promoter than Evan Mobley. Jason, when you look at the awards season and the awards circuit now for the NBA, it feels like it's becoming almost political campaign-esque. Is that good or bad for the league before we dive into some of the reasons that Evan Mobley should be DPOY?
No, it's terrible. Of course it's terrible. It should be based on merit on the court. But I said it earlier on UCSS. I said it on our Cavs show earlier this week. This is the hardest award to vote for in the NBA because you don't know what you're looking at. And it's hard for NBA writers to be able to declare what the Defensive Player of the Year is. When you're voting on MVP, it's a lot easier. Anybody can sit out and watch the full season of NBA games and have a pretty good grasp. You can look at the numbers and have a pretty good grasp of who the best players in the game are. You can argue, should it be Shea, should it be Jokic? But
Giannis.
Yeah, your boy Giannis.
He's going to finish top 5.
But you have a pretty good understanding. When you're talking about Defensive Player of the Year, some years it's guys who lead the league in steals. Some years it's guys who lead the league in blocks. And a lot of times, I think this is what you've seen this year, a narrative catches hold and takes off, and then that's just what the voters go with because it's really hard. It's such an ambiguous award to vote on. Somebody like Draymond, who's got a pretty big platform, who is great at public speaking, who has made a career off of it, can go out and state his case, and people go, yeah, that sounds pretty good. We'll go with Draymond. And Evan, I've said this a couple times recently, Evan has got to get better at promoting himself. He's got to get better at talking because he's only hurting himself. I know it's uncomfortable for him. It's obvious it's uncomfortable for him. We've seen it in person when he's at the podium after games and he's got to talk about himself. He doesn't love doing it. It's very commendable, but it's also costing him money. It's going to take money out of his pocket if he doesn't win this because of the contract bonuses that are involved that are tied to this because he's entering max status. He's got to get better at doing this and promoting himself. Ultimately, I don't have a vote anymore. When I covered the league full time, I did have a vote. If I did have a vote, I would vote for him. I think he's earned it. I think he's the guy. But, yeah, I mean, Mike pulled numbers that it's closer maybe than we originally thought. But to me, Evan Mobley's still a Defensive Player of the Year.
Ty, what do you make of this whole, I don't want to call it political campaigning, but self-promoting yourself, in the case of Draymond Green, that is now caught in fire and become a legitimate narrative and a chance that he's going to win the DPOY when he got hurt, he was plus 3,000. Wasn't even on the board.
I think Jason's right when it comes to voting for. You get a vote?
Not anymore. I used to, but
Okay.
I don't anymore.
I think you're right when you think about it because you think about like guys like Marcus Smart who won it, then it turned into Wemby because of the blocks, then Jared Jackson won it, all these things, and it's so different metrics. But the funny thing is, one thing that I always appreciate is consistency. You know, it's very seldomly I watch a Cavs game when I see Evan Mobley just somebody giving him the business, especially in crunch time. And I turned on the game the other night.
Last night.
And I watched Draymond get cooked for 4 straight points.
In an important game.
By the Spurs.
In a very important
By
game.
the Spurs.
Very important
And
game.
I'm just like, how do y'all going to tell me that this is the, okay. But don't get me wrong. Draymond Green is probably a Hall of Famer because of his, how smart he is and how good he is on defense. He is great defensively overall in his career. But he's not changing the game like he used to me, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not watching a lot of Golden State games. I could be fair saying that, but to me, it just doesn't come off the same way as it once did. Like back in the day, 2016, 17, like for sure he was that guy. But now, like Evan, literally, I've watched Evan win games with great defensive stops. He definitely need to get better with talking. I mean, boy, yeah, you need to come holler at me. I got you. I'll tell you how you supposed to.
He does need a little time to provide.
By the way,
because this is ridiculous.
He's gotten so much better.
No, oh gee,
He has. From where he was a couple years ago, he is so much better.
Light years.
But he's still got a long ways to go.
Goodness. I mean, he's stuttering. I'd have been like, listen, this is why. I'd have been like, listen, as Evan Mobley, this is why I'm DPOY. Yes, I'm on the best team. We got one of the best records, but I've literally changed games. Like, people are afraid to come down to the paint because they know that I'm going to stuff it. All right? And if you try to put the ball on the ground, I'm checking anything from 1 through 5. It don't matter who you put on me. I'm still going to stop them and shut them down. That, to me, is what a Defensive Player of the Year is, and that's exactly what I've been doing this entire season. I have been the anchor for the Cavaliers this season, who is one of the best teams in the league. Therefore, I deserve Defensive Player of the Year.
That would have been better than what Evan said. And Evan's not a self-promoter. So I took it upon myself to put together the definitive case as to why Evan should be the DPOY. Channing Frye, former guest on this show, we have his bobblehead sitting behind Tyvis right there, tweeted out last night, hey, someone's got to make the cheat sheet. I need the cheat sheet because I don't have time to look through all the stats and compile them.
He works for the NBA. He's got researchers for that.
Well, he also has me because I had Channing's email from when he came on. I sent him the
He's
email.
on NBA TV, right? He's on NBA.
He's on NBA TV. Yeah. He replied back and said, thank you, I'm going to use this. So if you hear Shannon Frye going over some stats for Evan Mobley's DPOY case, here they are. I have printed them out. I gave Jason a copy. Man. I did. I gave Jason a copy. I gave Tyvis a copy. If you would like a copy of this so you can put it in your back pocket and carry it around, and if anyone happens to bring up the Draymond versus Evan conversation, you could have this little cheat sheet ready for you. I was glad to send this out. So here is the definitive Evan Mobley DPOY case with even more numbers that I did not have yesterday when Jason and I went over this on the Ultimate Cavs show. And we have graphics to help back it up. First, let's take graphic number 1. The Cavs this season are 4.8 points per 100 possessions better defensively when Evan is on the court than when he is off the court, 4.8. The Warriors just 2.8 points per 100 possessions defensively when Draymond's on than when Draymond is off. So 2 points better per 100 possessions, Mobley over Draymond, 1 out of 1 advantage, Cleveland. Second graphic, whenever you're ready here, Steve. Let's look at some of the contests per game. Evan Mobley contests 10.4 shots per game. That's the second most in the NBA. That ranks number 2.
Who's first?
It was Wemby.
Okay.
That is the 81st percentile of block percentage and the 90th percentile in foul percentage. The higher the number in the foul percentage, by the way, better. So he contests a ton of shots, he blocks a ton of shots, and he does not foul. Pretty important, right? Draymond only contests 9.1 shots per game. That's according to Cleaning the Glass. He's in the 60th percentile in block rate, 21 percentile points lower among all qualified bigs than Evan, and his foul rate is 60%. 30 points lower than Evan Mobley. So he contests fewer shots. He blocks fewer shots. He's less effective when contesting shots. And oh, by the way, he fouls a whole lot more than Evan Mobley does. Pretty important, right? Mm-hmm. Number 3, let's go to the on-off ratings as a team. The Cavs' defensive rating when Evan Mobley is on the court this season, 108.6. That would rank number 2 in the NBA behind only Oklahoma City. When Evan is off the court, the defensive rating rises to 111.9. You want a lower defensive rating. The lower number, the better in this case. When Draymond is on the court for the Golden State Warriors, the defensive rating is 109 flat. When he's off the court, it's 110.4. So the difference between the on-court defensive rating and the off-court defensive rating for Evan Mobley is 3.3 points. For Draymond, it's just 1.4 points. Almost triple as high at Evan as it is for Draymond Green. Next graphic, Steve, let's keep on rolling. How about the case that gets made against Evan that he plays with Jared Allen? That should help, right? He's got another elite defender next to him. Well, the Cavs' defensive rating drops by 1.1 points when Mobley's on the floor and Jared Allen's on the bench. So Mobley and Allen together is great. When Allen comes off and Mobley's the primary rim protector, the defensive rating drops 1.1 points.
Which is good.
Yeah, that's good.
Drops makes it sound like it's bad. It's good.
Yes.
You're saying so they go from
No. It goes up.
Oh, okay.
It's not as good. So it really increases. I'm saying it. I put the word drop. It actually increases. They are worse when Evans and Allen aren't on the court together.
Yes, it's better when it's just Mobley by himself.
No. It's better when they're together. It shouldn't be the word drop. It increases.
Oh, you got me confused now. Go ahead.
Mike and I did go over this before the show. Didn't catch it.
Okay. Well, I said drops. It gets worse. So technically the number increases, but
all right. I got you now.
It drops in the rankings.
I got you now.
The Cavs are at their best defensively when Allen and Mobley are on the court together. The defensive rating technically goes up because the higher number's worse. So I said drop,
you
but whatever.
struggling with that?
No, I got it now.
You get it now?
I got it now.
For the Warriors, Steve, take that back. That's 1.1. So the difference is 1.1.
Yeah.
When Draymond's on the court and Jimmy Butler's not, their defensive rating goes up 5.4 points. So I used the word drop, but that is technically going up. You don't want it to drop.
Yeah.
1.1 for Evan without Jared Allen, 5.4 for Draymond without Jimmy Butler. So why are we going to criticize Evan Mobley for saying he plays alongside another elite rim protector and Jared Allen helps? Well, when Jimmy Butler's not on the court alongside Draymond Green, that is a significantly, almost 500% bigger rise than it is with the Cavs.
Before you go on, you already sent this to
Channing Frye has this. I'll text him back and clarify when I say drop that I mean it is technically an increase. It's like golf. You want to score, like time to score low or whatever.
You about to have him go on the NBA TV.
Well, it does technically drop in the rankings. It goes up in the numbers.
I got you now.
Next one, Steve. Let's take it. These are the traditional stats. Rebounding, big part of playing defense, right? A defensive possession doesn't end without a rebound. Evan, 9.3 per game. Draymond, 6.1. Blocks, Evan has the advantage, 1.6 versus just 1 a game for Draymond. Draymond does have the advantage in steals, 1.4 over 1.9. In terms of rebounding talent, B-Ball Index looks at the 419 qualified players in the NBA that have played enough minutes in terms of the rebounds they grab, the difficulty of which they grab it, and the frequency of which they grab it. Out of the 419 players qualified in defensive rebounding this season, according to B-Ball Index, Evan Mobley ranks 53rd. Draymond ranks 301st. Quite a difference. Defensive win shares, which is a whole metric you have to look at, lower once again where you want to be. Mobley over Draymond. And last graphic here, Steve. These are the super advanced nerdy stats that are graded in percentiles. Higher percentile, better. Lower percentile, worse. Rim protection. Evan, 96th percentile per B-Ball Index. Draymond, 91.
So you want to be? You said you want to be higher.
Higher is better. Higher is better. Rim contest, 92nd. Draymond, 61st. Rim deterrence, which is a stat that I'm not exactly sure how it is graded out on a game-by-game basis, but essentially deterring guys from taking shots around you. Draymond ranks number 1 in the NBA, so Draymond gets the advantage in there. But Evan's in the 98th percentile. It is a minimal difference. Draymond may be the best at that, but what he's best at, Evan is still right there. not necessarily as good according to the B-Ball Index tracker, but right in that same conversation. In terms of rim points saved, Evan in the 92nd percentile, Draymond in the 85th. And then in terms of their overall help defense effectiveness, Draymond ranks once again number 2 in the NBA in the 99th percentile. Evan number 5 in the 98th percentile. The stuff Draymond may do slightly better than Evan is right there to help continue the Cavs' incredible defense. And I know wins and losses don't really make a difference, right? It's wins and losses. That is not an individual stat. But I do think if you're in a tiebreaker situation, overall team success should play a factor, right? Mm-hmm. The Cavs, well, they're 63-16. They've clinched the 1 seed in the East. The Warriors are 47-33. They're currently in the play-in, and they could be a road team in the first round of the play-in because they are half a game ahead of the 8 seed. And this whole narrative that Golden State is surging of late, it's not true. You know what both teams' record are in their last 25 games?
Wait a minute.
You know what their records are in the last 25 games, Tyvis? They're both 19-6.
Well,
that's surging compared to 47-33.
I don't care. You can't say one's collapsing and one's surging. They're both 19-6.
They've been significantly better
Yes.
with Jimmy. That doesn't necessarily help Draymond's
Were
case.
they just on like a 5 or 6 game win streak?
No, they lost last night to the Spurs, and they've fallen into the play-in game. So there you have it. Draymond is a good defensive player. Evan, if you want these numbers, I'll change the one word from drop to increase, even though you guys should have been able to pick up on what I was saying. Put this in your back pocket. That'll save you from a lot of arguments. But Evan Mobley is your 2024-2025 Defensive Player of the Year. I stand by my case.
What about Jaren Jackson? Where is he?
Been hurt too much.
Okay. And so it's on the right now. If you look up the odds, Draymond's first, Evan second,
And Lou Dort's third.
the
Dort
Dortch
Chambers.
Chambers.
And if someone wants
It
to
only works. It really only works against Donovan.
No, he's been incredible this year. If someone wants to make the case for Lou Dort as the best defender in the NBA, I will hear them out. I will absolutely hear them
So you
out.
take Lou Dort over Draymond.
I'd have to do a deep dive into some of this stuff, but they play different positions, so it's harder to get the side by side
Yeah.
comparison. But Jason, any final thoughts on Mobley for DPOY? If he's not going to campaign, we're going to campaign for him.
That was really well done. And I'm going to steal this and write it in The Athletic.
Take it.
Make sure you put increase.
It wouldn't be the first time.
I won't
and
use
not
that.
drop.
I heard that. See that little knife twist you got it on me?
What'd he say?
Wouldn't be the first time.
Okay.